It's really sad. It is really sad.
Okay,
lockout shortened season. They made the playoffs and then just had their hearts ripped out of their chest, and that's what you got.
So tone it down a bit. So forget about.
Just did.
No, but forget about great. Okay, how many good moments have there been?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're right, Craig. I don't. Let me think. Let's think about
Well,
how
here's
many
a good moment.
moments.
They were going to draft Tyler Seguin and Dougie, but no.
No, that's not a good moment.
No, they didn't do that.
They had, after the 3 lottery balls were pulled before the 4th one, they had the best percentage to win Connor McDavid.
But no, that didn't happen.
No, that didn't happen either. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. They got Clarkson off the books. Like, that's basically the best moment of the past decade.
You guys are sitting there with a bunch of rotten bananas in front of you, and you're trying to pick out the least rotten one.
Right.
Not too often are
Well
both
said,
of us
Ray.
speechless, but we are right now.
Well, I'm broadcasting the Oilers in the Leafs tonight.
Yeah.
That should be a doozy.
Do
huh?
a half-hour pregame show on the last 10 years of whatever.
Of both teams.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of no, no.
No, I'm with you. I mean, in Edmonton, obviously McDavid, couple first-round picks. Maybe they'll get a new rink. Like, that'll be nice. Not much else.
Yeah, I mean, there's, they have moments where you think, gee, maybe they're starting to come alive here. You know, McDavid comes back, they score a bunch of goals, and they win 2 straight, and then they just go get beaten down in Montreal on the island. And then Todd McLellan, I thought, had a great comment after their loss in New Jersey the other night where he said, like, the effort was really good. Like, I was really happy with how hard we played. He goes, but that shouldn't even be part of the conversation. Like, we shouldn't be celebrating that we put a good effort in.
Isn't that the telltale sign of a bad team when people talk about their effort? How good the effort was?
Yeah, good try.
Yeah. Like, do you think
Because really good teams, that's usually the opposite. They're like, we didn't even work tonight.
Right, exactly. Like, jump in a time machine back to 1985 in Edmonton. Do you think ever when they lost a game they said, well, Gretzky tried hard tonight? And Mess was, he really, how about that back check from Messier in the second period?
But to Ray's point, like, effort is just a basic quality. I say it all the time. It's like breathing. You don't come out after the game and go, geez, we really breathed well tonight along with our effort.
But you know what? Somebody said, and I saw this once, that, hard work is a skill too. Because you can choose not to. Like that, it's in you to work hard, but it's a skill to find it every night, or to find it as many nights as you can.
Yeah, I was going to say hard work consistently is the key. I mean...
Because, man, isn't there, like, some nights you just... I don't know how to explain this, but, maybe you can help me out. But, like, you play a game, and the game ends, and you're taking your skates off after, and you think, you're... Because that's one of the cool parts about playing pro sports, is you don't need anyone else to evaluate your game. As you're taking your skates off, you're already doing it. And you think, I don't even know what happened out there. Like, I didn't hit anybody. I didn't get hit. I don't even know if I had a shot. Like, I was just kind of out there. And the game just gets away from you. And you're like, and it would happen half a dozen times a year. You'd go, man, I don't even know what happened out there. Like, that's where hard work consistently can maybe punch you through one of those nights. And when you're on a bad team, you just... I don't know, your work level, your work rate just gets sucked right out of you.
I think that's the thing. I mean, there was a game last year I watched, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Steven Stamkos, he was not getting any one-timer looks. He was not getting open shots, but he was the hardest working guy in the ice. It might have even been against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And with 2 minutes left, guess who tipped one in the front, getting cross-checked? It was Steven Stamkos. So over the course of 60 minutes, his hard work ultimately paid off. And even if it didn't, the next night you probably would. So that's where it can come into play.
And for bad teams, they're, like Todd McLellan just said, like that, we got to change the narrative that that's a good thing. Like, that shouldn't even be part of our narrative that we tried tonight, that we worked hard. I mean, they got pummeled, on the road after coming off of 2 really good games. And it's got to get old around here where they say, we're young and we're growing. I mean, does that not have to get old for you? their problems are so obvious, but you can't fix them very quickly. And they're in the bottom 5 in save percentage. They're 29th in goals, goal differential. They're what's the other? Their goals against average is only 4 teams that are over 3 a game. Like, it's their ability to play without the puck is a disaster.
Yeah.
And they've been working at it and trying. And so the new guys, all they can say, like the new guys being Chiarelli and McClellan, look, this is year 1. They can't say it's year 10, even though it is. It's just year 1. And man, they better find some guys here because whether their forwards are great or not, those defensive numbers will kill you every time.
Well, Ray, I was going to say that as a segue into this. Like, earlier in the year when they were really struggling and Eberle and Nugent-Hopkins weren't scoring, they were, and Todd said after a game, he goes, we're going to have to really evaluate, who the core players are here. But isn't that right where they're at? Like, enough of, like I've said this for a while now. Unless your name's McDavid, anybody else can go out the door.
I don't know how anybody can think that that's not the case. Like that. I know Taylor Hall is one of the best left wingers in the league, and I know that Jordan Eberle's a really good player. But if they get an opportunity that changes the entire configuration of their blue line, and it costs one of those players, like, I'm not talking about trading for a 29-year-old defenseman. If you're talking about trading for a defenseman that's a game changer, like Hall can be, you'd have to at least consider it. Man, they're on the bottom of the league again. How can you not consider it?
Well, not only would I consider it, I'd be seeking it out. That's what I don't understand. Like, I mean, what are you going to, oh, yeah, well, we got a good left winger? Hey, and I've been there. I've been in a situation in Dallas and in Calgary where people are saying, oh, well, what about this guy? Like, last time I looked, you know what, these guys haven't been in the lead car in the Stanley Cup parade.
They have, as I'm sitting here doing the prep for the game, you just look and you go, man, there's just holes all over the place in the way they play. Like, they can, and maybe some of these players that have been here a while would be better served being somewhere else, right? Because all they've known is losing. Like, what has Taylor Hall known since he's come to the NHL? And even got close to a playoff game. So maybe, and we're just using him as an example, maybe somewhere else might be better for him in the way that he plays, or what they get back changes the configuration of the team. I don't think they're going to go down that road till they see where their draft pick is. Like, if they, I hate to tell you guys this, if they win that lottery again.
Oh, don't even do it. No.
Well, then all of a sudden they've got, you've got Matthews and Draisaitl and Nugent-Hopkins, and, maybe that's the place you make a trade. Right? Like, I don't know. I mean, I would suspect one of those big boys will probably be, will be more draft time than anything else.
If they win that again, you know what they have become? They've become the Rangers of the late 90s, early 2000s, but instead of the older great players, they're the younger great players. But it doesn't matter because the team always loses.
Yeah.
I remember when they had, like, Yager,
Peter,
Bure,
Nedved, Yager, Messier,
and they sucked.
Gretzky.
They didn't do anything.
Leach.
Didn't make the playoffs.
Richter.
Everyone was like, oh, those guys are a lock. Look what they have. And they couldn't find the right chemistry or whatever it was.
No.
And that's what Edmonton is, only instead of older guys, they got younger guys.
And Ray makes a really good point here, and I want to just jump on a little bit, is that he talks about, and I'm not suggesting that these players aren't good players either. Like, Taylor Hall is a terrific player, and Eberle's a good player, and Nugent-Hopkins is a good player. They're good players. But you got to look at this from a team perspective. And as good as they are, you've always got to be looking at it. What do we need to do, and what do we need to consider to be able to improve our team? Because, as Ray says, this configuration of players is not changing anything.
That's where they're at.
That's exact. And so now tonight you've got, these two teams that are right at the basement, and yet Edmonton must think that they're a little bit ahead of Toronto. Except,
a
really,
little
are
bit
they?
ahead?
Well, yeah. Look at the two lineups tonight, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if you match Kadri with who? Draisaitl, say. Who's your McDavid?
Ray,
Oh, you don't have one. Who's your left winger you're going to match with Taylor Hall? Oh, you don't have one. Who's the right winger with Eberle? You don't have one.
Well,
the
thing
thing
that
is,
those two teams have the same record is ridiculous.
I know, man. We've been having this conversation for 5 years. More than that. Remember when Burke and Tambellini were going to go down different paths to build a winner? And guess where they are today? Neither of them are with the team, and the team is still dead last in the league.
They ended up in the forest at the same place.
Yeah. Like, they must look at this in Edmonton, is my point, and say, we have to be ahead of Toronto, but you're tied.
It's ridiculous.
You know what? I think today, I'm going to pitch this, I think, to TSN, is that they should have, since it's kind of the basement bowl, they should make a little animation of a basement and a door, you know, like from the old cellars. And as the game's going along, Austin Matthews' head keeps popping out of the basement, and he's in either a Leaf jersey or an Oiler jersey, depending on the score.
Yeah, and one of the executives gets pushed down the stairs at the end of the game saying, go get him.
Go find him.
Yeah.
Right. Picture in picture. The smaller box is Austin Matthews highlights from his time over in Switzerland. And yeah, you're right, man. I mean, it's ludicrous. And the best thing is they both probably smack talk the other team behind their back. Like, you know, the Leafs are like, this Edmonton outfit's just a joke.
Yeah,
like, how about what they're doing out here?
Yeah, the Oilers are like, look how garbage this lineup is for the Leafs. Nah, we're at the same amount of
But
points.
you can talk about joking, though. This should be a cautionary tale for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
About what?
And for their fan base. Oh, you all think it's just about high picks. You know, you've heard me rail on this show. If you think it's just about high picks, you have no clue. Because if it was only about high picks, we'd be talking about the reigning, multiple Stanley Cup champion Edmonton Oilers, Carolina Hurricanes, Florida Panthers, and, yes, the Atlanta Thrashers.
And they're in Winnipeg.
And they're in Winnipeg, and they're not doing anything.
Do you remember staring at a terrible team when you were on a team that wasn't very good, and somebody would inevitably say, look at their defense. They're worse than ours.
That was my classic line. You get it in deep, their D is way worse than ours.
Everybody would just crack up.
Hey, Ray, did you ever meet Red Sullivan?
No.
So Red Sullivan played in the NHL he's from Peterborough, real character of a guy, right? So he was coaching the Washington Capitals in a year when I think they set the record for 19 straight losses. They were about 16 losses into it. He came into the dressing room after the game and he was pumping everybody up. Come on, you're a good player. Come on, we're a good team. And the players are thinking that he was drinking like during the entire game. And he finished it after he'd gone through the whole room about 4 or 5 minutes. And he said, we only have one problem. We're in the wrong league.
There's a pep talk for you. That'll gain confidence.
The coach.
That's a bit of an
16 losses in a row.
That's like a lawyer representing you, and off the record, he's like, you killed him, right? I know you did. I can't even actually represent you because I know you are guilty here. That's tough, man. And listen, McClellan and Babcock, they're only 50 games in. They're supposed to be there for a long time. So, you know, they're banking on things turning a corner.
You know what they should do tonight, Ray? They should both be wearing their Detroit Red Wings Stanley Cup rings.
How about that? You got yours on? Yeah, I got mine on, too.
Yeah, troll job. Just daps at center ice before the game. Hey, there you are.